Hello all and welcome back to another wonderful video. Today I am here in Mystical Meadows to talk about, well, a handful of things that I just kinda hate about Mystical Meadows. I've done this once with Ashes Town, I've done this once with Luminous Kingdom, and now it is Mystical Meadows' turn for a hard critique. So we're gonna get on with this list. Now this one doesn't have too many, but it does have six main things really that I really personally hate about Mystical Meadows. And a little bit of a disclaimer here because I just want to remind everyone that this little series of going to, you know, different custom servers and stuff like that and talking about things that I hate about them, this series is here so that I can talk about these things and, you know, provide, you know, good, honest feedback to the developers and stuff like that in the hopes that maybe one of the developers will see it and be like, yeah, that should change. We should change that, or we should add this, or we should do this. That way that the game can perhaps somehow become even better than it already is. Now, I'm still planning on doing a series about, you know, things I love about Ashes Town, Mystical Meadows, and so on and so on. But I'm not quite sure if I want to do that just yet. So we'll get to that when we get to it. But for now, it's Mystical Meadows' turn, and we're going to start with number one. And number one is text. That's right. Just like Ashes Town, just like Luminous Kingdom, Mystical Meadows just doesn't quite nail it right with text. Now, everyone has been using the text in a different way. Everyone has had, you know, something wrong with their text in a different way. This one, we don't have any problems here. Mystical Meadows doesn't have any problems here. I can read all of this very, very, very easily. I can read, you know, all of this very easily. Well, kind of. I mean, that's kind of standard. That's on all of them anyway, but that's not the point. The point is, I can read those. It's fine. I can read all this text here, but what I can't read is this text up here. In fact, I bet if you'd never played Mystical Meadows, or if you've never played a Ponytown custom server or anything like that, you didn't know these buttons were even up here. There's a home, a help, contributors, characters, and of course my my account name, which is just my Discord tag for some reason. Should I blur that out? I don't know. But the point is, it's very hard to read these. Like, I physically cannot read anything on this other than the word home at all. I cannot read any of it whatsoever until I highlight it, until I go up over it, like when I hover over it or when I click on it. That's the only time I'm ever able to read anything that's on there. Now, there's some ways to fix this. You can put some boxes around it. You could do some kind of, you know, bold text around it to kind of make it pop better. You can change the color of the text itself, but what I don't suggest you do is change this background, because this background is a very lovely thing, but it is the background's fault that I cannot read this, because otherwise I would be able to read this. It's just clashing with the background in such a way that it makes it really, really, really difficult to read that. On to our second thing. Now, the second thing, I'm just going to hop into the English server real quick and kind of tell you what's wrong with the second thing. Now, the second thing really, really has to do with the size of the map. If we zoom all the way out here, this map, well, we can't even zoom out that far, really, but this map is very, 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 very big. I will show you in a moment the full scale of the map, but I just want to give you an idea of, like, hey, maybe I want to go up on these cliffs or something like that. I just run around over here. I gotta go all the way up this way. There's probably another path somewhere, but this is just one way to do it. But we go all over the place. This map is very, very, very big, and given its size, there's not a lot to do with that space. There's a lot of spaces that are like really nice little hangout spots and stuff like that. Like, you can have a handful of places like these benches here, or these benches over here, or even this little sitting area here. There's some food stands scattered about, you know, the map and everything like that. But overall, it's a very, 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 very big map with not a lot going on. There's a lot of empty, dead spaces that have literally nothing whatsoever going on. Here is the full map. Now, this is out of season and probably not the most up-to-date map that there is, but you can get an idea of how big the map is. This is how big the Mystical Meadows map is. This is courtesy of the Mystical Meadows Discord server, by the way. That's where I got this image. You can see how massive this is. Tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of space here. There's this little section here, which if you go to this area right here, you get a second map. That's right, another map. This map, which granted isn't extremely big, but in person it is even bigger once you're there. And same thing with this. This doesn't look that big, but it's because I'm zoomed out so far so that you can see the entire map. But once you're actually there in game, it's massive, and there's Well, like you can see, there's just dead space here, nothing really going on here other than cliffs and stuff like that. This beach has literally nothing going on with it. There's a few things in some parts of the beach, but overall, this whole section here has nothing really going on. You have empty areas like this corner here. If you saw, I don't know if you saw a minute ago, but when I was over there at spawn, the majority of the players were just hanging out by spawn because, well, where else are you going to go? There's no point in running around doing anything because at most you're going to find some key fragments to get, yes, another map, and then also so much space, yet not a lot to do in that space, and a lot of the space is just dead space that no one's using or really doing anything with. It's just bigger than it needs to be. My advice here is to just stop expanding on the map, like just edit the map as is right now, just kind of update the map, kind of add more things to do within, you know, these dead spaces, or do something to spruce up those dead empty spaces. If you even can somehow just shrink the map, even if you somehow can manage that, it's just, there's so much space that's just completely unwanted and completely unnecessary. Now on to number 3. Now, number 3, I really hate to say it, NPCs are cool, NPCs are nice, but what isn't nice is NPCs that literally do nothing. This NPC literally does nothing. You can't interact with it in any way, to my knowledge. I've tried different things. You can't interact with them. You can't kill them with the sword, which is what I really want to do right now. But the NPC is adorable and it's nice, but it's doing nothing. And I really hate that you have these NPCs, and these NPCs have been in the game for a while, but they're just doing nothing. They just kind of exist. This one just wanders around. He goes over here, and then over here, and then over here, randomly mumbles about, what should I paint? What should I paint? But you can't interact with it or do anything with it. And I don't quite understand the purpose of it, because even in the context of the lore, or at least the amount of lore that I do know, this makes no sense. And I personally hate that they have NPCs that do nothing. I always hate when games do that, because it's like, why put it there at all? It's almost like it's there to add filler to these empty spaces or something, but I don't know. It is kind of neat to find for the first time, because you think there's going to be something, and then you find out that there's literally nothing to it. Now we got to go to the... Okay, you know what? This isn't in my original list, but I'm just going to add it here right now, since it's annoying the crap out of me right now. These cliffs, I had to go all the way up there, and then only to realize that I have to go all the way down to get off the cliffs. Now, obviously, this isn't a big thing, and I'm not going to add it as the official list or anything like that, but it's just something I want to mention real quick, because I'm trying to get to the next thing on the list, which is, this is the next thing on the list, and also technically this as well, but we'll get into that in a second. So, number 4 on the list is these little seashells. You can grab them, you can pick them up, you collect seashells. Now, there's nothing inherently bad about this, but it kind of feels like a currency system, but it's not a currency system. And I get that it's most likely just like a collector thing, like, oh, collect all the seashells, or not collect all the seashells, just like, hey, collect seashells, and then maybe something happens, maybe something doesn't happen. These little seashells, they do nothing, and they're extremely common considering they do nothing. So it kind of feels like they should have better purpose, and that's a really nitpicky thing. But something else that really bothers me, and I personally hate, is this bottle right here, and honestly this bottle over here. Why is there trash on the beach? Why the hell is there trash on the beach? And you can argue that, oh, it's like a ship in the bottle, you gotta go up to it and interact with it, and it does a cool thing. No, it does nothing. It's literally just trash sitting on the beach for no reason at all. Why have that there? Why have that there at all? I think it should be removed. Or moved. Like, you can move it maybe over to this, because maybe you can argue that, like, oh, there was people working here and they just kind of tossed it there or something like that. I don't know, but it really bothers me, and it's honestly a nitpicky thing. I'm going to be honest with this one. This number 4 on my list is a really nitpicky thing, but it would be so much cooler if this like bottle right here was like a rare thing that could only sometimes happen or sometimes spawn, and it was like a ship in a bottle or a message in a bottle, or you click on it and you get this cool message with, you know, lore or some kind of hint to where you can find one of the key fragments, because it's like a treasure hunt. It's like, I hid the key fragment in so and so, and it's like, oh heck yeah, and you gotta kind of solve that riddle or whatever and kind of go to that general area that's describing and kind of do a thing. This right here, if you did that, this would greatly, you know, improve and greatly help with the situation of the map being too big, because now the map is really big, but there's reason to explore it other than just you have to be lucky to find that one single key fragment that's spawning, because only one spawns at one given time. I think this could help with that. You know, maybe add something else that you can find and collect and do some kind of cool thing with. I don't know, maybe it's just purely a message that is just pure lore and nothing else, but I think something could be done with this, and I honestly hate that there's just random bottles on the beach like this, because it's so out of place, and it looks like trash. It looks like someone just threw trash on the beach, and that's not good. We don't need to be spreading trash throwing on the beach. Okay, so this next one on the list, number 5 on the list, is inconsistency in art style and, well, bridges, really. There is like 3, 4, maybe 5 different kinds of bridges on the entire game, on the entire main map, and it's honestly really weird that there's a bridge like this with, you know, planks and stuff like that, with a fence post and stuff like that, and that's just one single bridge. That's one example of a bridge. But if we go down here and find the next bridge, here's the next bridge. You can see that it's an entirely different style of bridge for some reason. Why is it suddenly a different style of bridge out of nowhere? But it doesn't end there. There's even more. Another bridge right here, and it matches the first style that we saw. But if we go all the way over here, you have this bridge right here, which is also a different style. It has a stone walkway or a stone path, whereas the other one had wood. And so it's kind of similar to one of them that we saw a minute ago, but it is technically different. So it's another one that just suddenly changes its style out of nowhere. And here we go. Here's yet another bridge. Now, there might be another one. I don't think there is another one. But as you can see here, there is yet another bridge, and the style is vastly different than all the other ones that we've seen so far. I'm going to put up some pictures because I believe I took some screenshots of these. You should see some pictures of the comparison of all these different bridge types and stuff like that I've found so far. But you can see how it varies drastically from, you know, this one looks good, this one looks bad, this one's completely different, this is the one that you're probably meant to be using on all of the other ones, etc, etc, etc. There's so many issues with this, not to mention that this bridge right here that does look the best is completely broken. But watch as I go perfectly horizontal, and my character will automatically move upwards for some reason. Just watch. Oh, well, I gotta move up a little bit more. But as you can see, I'm now all of a sudden up there. I didn't do anything. I didn't press any buttons. I just, once I get to this little midsection, change how high up I am on the bridge, or how much this way I'm on the bridge, or how much I'm on this way to the bridge. It's such a weird thing, and I don't know why that's like that. I don't know if there's some kind of weird collider thing there. I don't know if there's some kind of other issue. I don't know, but it's completely broken, and it's something that I really hate because this bridge looks really nice, but it doesn't function the way it should, and that's really annoying. But not to mention the other half of this little argument of the bridges don't match each other. The overall style of the game kind of seems to just drastically shift from place to place, and this could be because it changed developers, you know, between here and there, or did this between there and there, or something like that. Maybe something changed. But you can see how there's like really nice rocks like this, and then you have really, you know, default rocks that we've had always like this. So that's a weird style shift. There is, of course, like dragonfly thingies. I don't know what the fuck they're called, or hummingbirds, I guess. Actually, I don't know why the hell I couldn't think of the name, but there's like hummingbirds that don't really seem to match the rest of the style of the game. If I'm not mistaken, there's some birds that are just permanently frozen in place. They don't do anything, and they look kind of weird. You know, you have, you know, here's another rock that's completely different than your regular style. You have trees that drastically change in style. You have paths that just drastically change from like dirt to stone out of nowhere, which isn't necessarily a style change, but it changes the overall feel of things. But you can see how there's just such a drastic, you know, style change between this object and this object, and this part of the world and this part of the world, and so on and so on. So let's move on to this sixth and final thing that really bothers the hell out of me in Mystical Meadows. Snow. It can now sometimes like just randomly start snowing, and it's similar to the weather that we have in Ashes Town, where it will suddenly start snowing or suddenly start raining or doing this or doing that, some other random weather event. But the snow in Mystical Meadows is honestly so bad that I lose my mouse every like 5 seconds. If I'm not moving the mouse, or if I move the mouse for a little bit and look away from the mouse, I lose it every single time because the snow is so thick. It's hard to see anything, at least to me. That's more of a personal thing. But again, if we go over here to this area, you can see how everyone's hanging out here, because like, why would you hang out anywhere else? This is where everyone is. It's the easiest way to see people. But yeah, you can see how, like, I'm gonna put up an image of it because it's not currently snowing, but you can see how the snow is very thick. It could be very easy to lose a mouse in this, especially if you have, you know, problems with your eyesight, you know, other accessibility issues and things like that. it's really hard to find your mouse, and it's really hard to see things when it's snowing in this game, and the snow is just so bad when it's snowing. Now, the snow on the ground like this isn't bad, it's fine. I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same as it is in Ponytown, but that's besides the point, it's fine. So I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all of those wonderful things like that. Because when you do those wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful yourself. And I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.